You think you know me.
The Edge fears no man.
But you will never know me.
Then triceps start disappearing.
You are lost.
Then my forearm looks like it's collapsing and becoming like a cadaver arm.
And scared.
I had always hoped one day it'll be my choice to walk away.
Edge is going to retire for the last time and soon. He fought his way back from injury multiple times, thought he had lost everything, only to win it back inch by inch. His entrance theme carries the story of his life. His accomplishments define the entire sport. He is as friendly as he is talented. Greatness was his fate.
The most underrated person we have ever had in this business.
Edge's love of wrestling carried him, but success didn't come easily.
There were some extremely powerful people that voted against it.
All of that was ammunition for me.
I am the MVP of this show!
The ultimate opportunist!
The rated R superstar, Edge!
The story of Edge, whose real name is Adam Copeland, is an epic journey of laughter, pain, love, and sacrifice.
If you wrote this as a script for Hollywood, they'd say it's impossible. It can never happen, it's not realistic. Yet here we are.
Adam was raised by a single mother on the wrong side of the tracks. As a kid, Adam sneaked out of the back alley because he didn't want his friends to see where he lived. He shuffled along the streets and made a vow that one day he would buy his mother a nice house. When he arrived at school, his teacher had a special assignment for the 12-year-old Adam Copeland. She introduced him to 𝗖𝗙𝗣𝗬𝗥𝗚𝗚𝗧, a kid whose parents had just moved to town. Adam showed him around on his first day at school. 15 years later, they became tag team champions together.
We were pretty much instantly best friends from the 6th grade on.
They had a shared love for hockey and wrestling. During recess, Edge and Christian practiced clotheslines in the hallway and did diving elbows from the stairs, daydreaming about their careers as pro wrestlers.
It wasn't like, if we do this, if we become wrestlers, it was like when we do this, when we become a tag team, when we become tag team champions. We kind of manifested it at an early age.
In 1990, WrestleMania came to Canada, and the 17-year-old Adam Copeland wanted a ticket desperately. He was still in school, and his mum was working multiple jobs just to get to the end of the month. They really couldn't afford a ticket. But seeing Adam smile was worth any price to his mom, so she borrowed the money for the ticket.
My mom used my grandparents' credit card and then paid them back in order to get me down there.
That night, Adam cheered for his hero, Hulk Hogan. 12 years later, they won the Tag Team Championship together.
That was so cool. He called me brother. Yeah.
Edge always wanted to be a wrestler, and his first ever WrestleMania experience cemented his will. Fueled by a dream to draw crowds like Warrior and Hogan, he vowed to become a superstar and lift his family out of poverty.
For me, the mindset was failure is not an option. Everything told me I'm doing it.
In his senior year of high school, Adam was voted most likely to become world champion. He talked about his passion to everyone who would listen, but at the time, he didn't know what it would take to be a wrestler. Years of training, which he couldn't afford, not to mention broken bones, torn muscles, and chronic pain. One day, he saw an ad for a local wrestling school that promised free training to the winner of an essay contest. The ultimate opportunist took his chances and wrote a convincing personal statement declaring why he felt he was the best candidate. To his own surprise, he won the contest and received a free wrestling scholarship. His debut match was on Canada Day. Edge started his career with the goal of making a living and buying his mom a house. But one injury and it could all be over. There was no insurance, no guarantees.
And this was it. There was no plan B. Failure was not an option.
He stopped playing hockey and stopped skiing so as not to risk injury. He wrestled on the independent circuit under the name 𝗖𝗥𝗘𝗗𝗜𝗧𝗏 with his best friend Christian Cage as the 𝗖𝗛𝗣𝗍𝗠𝗠𝗏. When asked to describe his first character, he said 𝗖𝗥𝗘𝗗𝗏𝗧𝗏 was an enigma, a cornucopia of sexuality. Adam and Jay were desperate and took on any booking. They would drive for 10 hours across frozen lakes to the northern outskirts of Manitoba to have a wrestling show in front of 50 people on a First Nations reserve. Edge and Christian often traveled with Rhino. As the story goes, they even came up with his name, although Rhino himself credits another wrestler. One time, Christian fell through the ice and waist deep into the freezing water, but Adam didn't help him. He was too busy laughing and pointing out how awesome that was. In 1992, Bret Hart appeared on a Canadian talk show with a 19-year-old Adam Copeland in the audience. He wanted to know how he could get into the WWF. Bret said he needed more experience.
And they can get you on television and give you sort of a tryout, but that's about it.
A disappointing answer. But after the show, Bret approached Adam and said something that stuck with him. "Keep going. You got what it takes. I can see it in your eyes."
You know, I have the WWE champion telling me to keep plugging away, and that's all I needed. That is all I needed, man. That kept me plugging away.
You know, I'd be working in the car seat factory and I'd go, okay, I'm doing this that I can afford tights. So I can afford those boots. So I can afford the first payment of car insurance. Because I thought if I keep putting into this thing, eventually it'll pay off.
He didn't know it at the time, but 4 years later, Bret Hart personally trained him and Christian at his house in Calgary. It was 1996, and Edge had just had his first tryout at a WWF house show. He put on an impressive match, which was starting to become a habit for the young Canadian. Bret saw how talented he was and taught him as much as he could in as little time as he had. He also gave him a glowing endorsement.
Nobody in the business was more respected than Bret Hart. That was really all it took.
Adam met head of talent relations Jim Ross, who went out of his way to pay off Adam's student loans and clear the path to his dreams. 𝗖𝗥𝗘𝗗𝗏𝗧𝗏 became Edge. The moment was finally here. Edge entered the ring for his televised debut, ready to leave a good impression on the decision makers watching behind the curtain. But less than a minute into the match, Edge accidentally knocked out his opponent.
And that's all of it. Edge will win his first match.
This disappointment left its mark on Adam, especially because his mentor, Bret Hart, must have been watching. Bret always took care to never hurt his opponent, and Edge followed in his footsteps. He became an extremely safe performer. Even when he slipped up, he made sure his opponent landed safely. The initial idea for the Edge character was confusing. A freak who attacked people on the street, a familiar female voice echoing words in his head.
You think you know me, but you will never know me. You don't know yourself.
The voice is now an iconic part of his entrance. But at the time, Edge was unhappy with his role because it lacked creative direction.
I don't think WWE had an idea what to do with Adam Copeland.
Writer Vince Russo reportedly suggested Edge should be deaf and mute because he doubted Copeland's promo ability.
I thought, man, that's being floated around for me. I got nothing if they take that away.
Adam actually went to college for radio broadcasting, specifically to beat back his shyness and stage fright so he could deliver better promos.
I was always pretty shy. Decided maybe radio broadcasting would help with that.
His best friend Jay, or Christian, went to the same college. Here they had their first and only fistfight, in true Canadian fashion, over a game of NHL 95, video game hockey.
Christian is a horrible winner. If he won, you wouldn't hear the end of it, like ever.
They didn't play the game for 25 years afterwards because they didn't want to jeopardize their friendship. Christian came to the WWF a few months after Edge, This time, Vince Russo actually had a good idea. Christian was introduced as Edge's brother, and they were put in with Gangrel, a blood-spitting vampire, as a group called The Brood. With The Brood, everything fell right into place. Steel drums and a bestial guitar played them to the ring.
These guys are weird!
Edge and Gangrel were huge fans of the band Kiss. They saw each entrance as a sort of tribute to the band they loved.
And we got this music, we're kind of bouncing to it, we're coming up in a ring of fire, and like, that's when I first started to feel like, okay, I can make it here.
In 1999, The Brood was part of the Ministry of Darkness for a brief time. Here, Edge met a man he revered like no other, The Undertaker. One day, he thought, the most respected wrestler might respect him too. But it took him 7 years to prove himself to the dead man.
This Sunday at Judgment Day, I will beat The Undertaker.
You will rest in peace.
The first step to becoming a great wrestler is to convince the audience you got what it takes. Edge was still a long way away from being able to buy his mother a house. He and Christian competed as a tag team, but they were struggling to get noticed. The tag division was a low priority at the time and didn't get a lot of attention by the promoters, so Edge and Christian had to earn their spot on the card. They did this by doing what nobody else was crazy enough to do. On October 17, 1999, they competed in the first ever tag team ladder match against the Hardy Boys.
They were pushing the envelope. They were redefining what a wrestling match could be. They stole the show.
It's fitting that Mick Foley was the first person to congratulate Edge when he came through the curtain. Mick Foley was known for his hardcore attitude and death-defying stunts. It was his way to get noticed, and it was quickly becoming Edge's way too.
It was just that moment where everybody in the back looked at each other and was like, this guy is money.
This was only the first of a series of extreme matches against Matt and Jeff Hardy, and later, the Dudley Boys.
Bodies and ladders are broken!
In a tag team, there is usually one star and one supporting role, which was going to be Edge, and which Christian. When they won the Tag Team Championship at WrestleMania 2000, they were standing on a table perched on top of 2 ladders. Edge stood and undid the belts. Meanwhile, Christian was at the side with a bent knee.
I looked at Edge and said, I can't stand up, because I was on the side with the bent leg.
Christian kept the ladders balanced.
And then he stood up, and like I said, I just sat down. I knew if I got up, that would kind of, let's just say the celebration would have looked a lot different if I had stood up.
Within 1 year, they became 7-time tag team champions. Every match was a success. The high-risk style was taking its toll, but Edge went on undeterred.
Okay, we got an opportunity to show everybody what we can do.
We just kept raising the bar every time, and whether we raised it too high or not, I don't know.
And what do you think about these young studs who took every chance imaginable, who put their bodies and souls on the line, their careers at stake?
The second TLC match from WrestleMania X7 stands out for a particularly memorable spot.
It knocked me almost unconscious. I don't even know what it did to Jeff, bless his heart.
24 years later, Adam Copeland still feels the pain from this match as he tries to fall asleep at night. He took bumps where he couldn't twist his head for 3 days afterwards. Insane dives off of 20-foot ladders that could have left him paralyzed. He put his neck on the line just to get noticed, a decision he later came to regret. Returning to the locker room after his matches, Edge eagerly sought feedback from the veterans. Beside Mick Foley, William Regal took an early interest in him and became a loyal friend.
I really only have a few very, very close friends, and Edge is one of those people.
Adam made friends easily, and not just with fellow wrestlers. With the writing staff too. One time, Hardcore Holly saw Edge and Christian visiting head writer Brian Gewirtz in his office, giving him a limited edition Flash action figure. Gewirtz was a close friend of theirs and loved the character. The gift was intended as a friendly gesture, but Holly and others thought Edge and Christian were trying to bribe the writer for better booking or more TV time. Edge and Christian were then called to the infamous Wrestlers' Court. They were warned in advance, which gave them time to prepare a defense. During the court session, they produced a fake book titled Edge and Christian: How to Kiss Ass, Our Road to the Top. They made The Undertaker laugh, which helped smooth things over. Brian Gewirtz did in fact help them with good writing. They were transitioning from hardcore matches to comedy segments. It was Brian who came up with the idea for the iconic 5-second pose.
For the next 5 seconds, we will very generously pose for all of you with the benefit of flash photography.
It was great to be able to get an opportunity to show our sense of humor.
If Beavis and Butthead were wrestlers, they would be Edge and Christian.
Christian, the best thing about my boots are...
What's that?
It says Edge on them.
That's pretty cool. I never noticed that.
Food poisoning rules.
Yeah, it does.
That was cool. That was so cool. Yeah.
Edge always wanted a hand in developing his character. To this day, he designs his own ring gear and chooses his own entrance music.
The greatest cultural achievement to ever come out of Kentucky, the Jug Band.
They were perfectly punchable comedy heels, two wimpy kids that looked like they had no business being in a wrestling ring. Unfortunately, they were also seen that way by other wrestlers. JBL reportedly insulted Edge on the WWE tour bus one time, calling him soft and other things. Surely that lightweight didn't have the guts to do something about it. Well, he was wrong.
The Edge fears no man.
Edge stood up to JBL, smacked the beer can out of his hand, and challenged him to a fight. JBL then retreated and tried to calm down an irate Edge. By now it was common knowledge that Edge was both a fantastic pure wrestler and a charismatic entertainer. He wanted to be world champion, but was stuck in the tag team division.
I definitely think tag team titles a stepping stone to get to that next step. You're almost there. You've grabbed that ring, now it's time to go for the next one.
After Edge won the 2001 King of the Ring tournament, Christian viciously attacked him. He was jealous of Edge, jealous that he wasn't as popular or successful. Fans often think this jealousy was an issue in their real friendship as well. Out of the two, Edge had always been the one named in segments, and he got more time on the microphone. No matter what Christian did to try and convince the higher-ups, they were dead set on giving Edge the bigger spotlight.
Once we split, I don't know if either one of us understood how hard it was going to be.
At this point, Edge was saving up money to finally make good on his promise to his mom. But there was a new mountain to climb, and a tough one at that.
With new performers, that's a tough mountain to climb. Everybody wants to be the champion.
Edge made the most of his opportunities. His matches with Kurt Angle are particularly memorable. Here, he showed everyone who thought he was just a pretty surfer boy that he could hang with the toughest athletes in the world. Edge won the IC and US title, and it felt like the path was clear for him to rise to the top of the card. But his full throttle style had racked up numerous injuries. Most importantly, his neck was giving out.
I didn't fully grasp how bad I felt.
He kept wrestling despite numbness and tingling in his hands for 2 months. He felt like he needed to vomit every time he took a bump, but he kept it to himself. Because that's what wrestlers do.
That's just the way I do things, and that's the way most wrestlers do. You know, we're a little bit off.
Edge did his wrestling training in a boxing ring, like many of the greats before him. He knew sometimes you just have to tough it out. His colleague and friend Kurt Angle had the same attitude. He kept wrestling even after breaking his neck several times. Like Kurt, Adam just pushed on. He would give anything for his dream. It was around this time that he fulfilled his promise to his mother and bought her a new home. Adam expressed he wanted to make sure she never had to worry again. But Adam's symptoms were getting worse. When his muscles began to atrophy, he couldn't hide it anymore.
These fingers would, get really kind of numb, and then I'd get aching and tingling in my hand. Then triceps start disappearing. Then my forearm looks like it's collapsing and becoming like a cadaver arm, like the meat is leaving.
Concerned about his health and the safety of his opponents, Adam had to take a break, not knowing if or when he was going to return. In February 2003, 3 of his vertebrae were fused together, held in place with screws and metal plates. The surgery went well. A return to the ring, possible. But it was a lesson in patience.
When you're used to going 120 with no hint of putting your foot on the brakes, to you're in reverse, and you're going in reverse fast.
Edge later admitted he used steroids to help in his recovery.
There's not an exercise you can do to make your bones better. So you just gotta wait and be patient. And I was not patient at that point in my life.
When Edge returned in 2004, you would be forgiven to think it was a major deal. After all, he was a picture of success for what WWE had planned to achieve with the brand split 2 years earlier. He had made a name for himself as a singles competitor, outshining some of the ECW and WCW stars that had flooded the roster. But instead of the singles push he had hoped for, Edge got thrown in a tag team with Chris Benoit.
This guy was labeled and typecast as a tag team competitor, never any good at a singles career. Like, imagine carrying that on your back after being through that TLC hell.
In his early career, Edge ran into a very unique problem. He was too good at his job. When the writing team needed a strong new tag team to liven up the division, Edge was their go-to guy.
Edge is an amazing performer, a gifted athlete.
Once again, he worked his ass off for an opportunity. But when he came to his hometown of Toronto as the Intercontinental Champion, the crowd hated it.
And they booed me. I went, really? All right, I'm gonna give you a reason. I am gonna give you a reason to hate me.
The crowd reaction genuinely angered him. He felt underappreciated by the fans, tired of being the good guy go-getter. And he hated the creative team because he felt like he could do more than they thought him capable of. It was clear to Edge that he needed to start creating his own opportunities. He attacked people from behind, sabotaged fan favorites, and betrayed his tag team partner.
I think his character took off when he started letting his real-life feelings out on screen.
Man, as a heel, I think he is just so much better.
Edge's charisma, his star aura, and natural acting skill came to the forefront. In November 2004, he started using Metalingus by 𝗖𝗛𝗢𝗬𝗏 as his theme song. Adam had met the guitarist on a Metallica concert during his recovery from neck surgery. The mid-2000s were a time when many pay-per-view theme songs were heavy metal, and Edge's new entrance music fit right in. It was the perfect song, although he didn't know until later how perfect.
Music has always been very, very fundamental to me in building whatever character I'm trying to portray. Because to me, it sets the tone, it sets the mood with the audience.
In 2005, Adam crossed the last name off his list of dream opponents. He had trained under Bret Hart, won the Tag Team Championship with Hulk Hogan, and now he was in a singles feud against Shawn Michaels. The only thing left to do was win the World Championship. When Chris Jericho and head writer Brian Gewirtz came up with the concept for Money in the Bank, Edge wasn't interested. He just wanted a singles match at WrestleMania 21. The idea was that the winner of a ladder match would get a world title shot the next night on Raw. But Edge had had world title matches before. It wasn't until they changed the concept to where the winner could cash in at any time of their choosing that Edge saw an opportunity, one that would change the course of his career. However, the creative team only wanted him as a contestant, not as the winner. Bruce Pritchard and Triple H were opposed to giving Edge this opportunity. Triple H in particular did not believe in Edge. This led to some resentment between the two, but no lasting hostility. It didn't matter what Triple H thought, because Edge was backed by an even more powerful supporter. Vince McMahon was singularly in his corner. And Vince doesn't make a call like this if he doesn't believe in a wrestler 100%. Edge's Money in the Bank win marked the beginning of the most successful, but also the most challenging period of his life. He had just remarried after divorcing his first wife, but only 4 months after the wedding, Adam had an affair with 𝗖𝗎𝗍𝗬𝗠, known under her ring name Lita. Lita was in a relationship with Matt Hardy, who was taking a break due to injury.
So Matt was home with an injury. I was on the road, I was traveling by myself. Edge was traveling by himself. We started traveling together a lot.
On long, lonely road trips, Adam and Amy started falling in love. Matt first found out because he got a call from Adam Copeland's newlywed wife. She told him about some problematic text messages she had seen on Adam's phone. Then, one night, Matt got out of bed and went to the kitchen to grab a glass of water when he saw Lita's phone flashing up in the darkness. There was a message from Adam Copeland on his girlfriend's cell phone. Matt remembers exactly what the message said and why it was left in the middle of the night.
Hey, it's me. This is killing me. I can't go without talking to you. I love you.
It took Matt a few moments to comprehend what he had just heard. Matt was great friends with Adam and Jay, Edge, and Christian. He trusted Adam completely and felt deeply betrayed. Lita woke up as she heard loud crashing noises. Matt had lost his temper and started throwing things. When she came to see what was wrong, Matt told her, "Get out of my house." The affair completely upended the lives of all three involved. Matt Hardy was fired. Edge's second marriage fell apart. And Lita stopped eating, stopped sleeping, and suffered from suicidal thoughts.
It was a hard situation to be in, because I was friends with all of them.
The love triangle quickly became a hot topic among wrestling fans, and of course the rest of the locker room. Everyone had to pick a side, and most wrestlers judged Lita harshly. She went from being one of the most popular divas to one of the most despised. She later said she didn't eat at catering anymore because she felt like everyone was talking about her behind her back. Edge found himself in a similar situation. All his career, he had gotten along with everybody.
I can't honestly say I have an enemy in that dressing room. Try to get along with everybody.
He went from well-liked to ostracized, and he knew he deserved it because he screwed up.
My whole idea of it, and I think Amy's idea of it was, wow, we screwed up. And no one, I don't think, beat each other up more than we beat ourselves up over it.
And it's just like, all it took is some honesty. Anywhere in this, and things could have been figured out.
On March 19th, 2005, Edge was traveling from North to South Carolina for a live tour and checked into a motel for the night. When he woke up the next morning, he found his rental car vandalized with all 4 tires slashed. Many suspect that it was Matt Hardy out for revenge, but no one knows for sure who is responsible for the tire slashing incident. Matt was released in April 2005 after making the betrayal public, for unprofessional conduct, as WWE called it.
When I was off and got released, it went through my head to buy a plane ticket to Tampa and go find him and beat his ass, or whatever it is, kill him and dump the body, whatever.
Matt and Lita had been a couple for 6 years. They knew each other before WWE. Matt was actually planning to propose to Lita when he got wind of the affair.
As a fan watching it, you could feel for Matt Hardy, because not only did he basically lose his job, he lost his girl, he lost everything. Everything that he loved was gone because of this one guy who was supposed to be his friend.
During a Raw episode in April, the crowd took over a segment between Lita and Trish Stratus with "You Screwed Matt" chants. Within the storyline, Lita was still Kane's wife. This is when WWE realized that they could no longer ignore the situation.
And I got to a point where I was like, okay, now I'm pissed because now I have all of these strangers holding up signs and you know nothing that went into all of this and you don't know how I'm beating myself up on the inside for it.
Often the nicest people in the world are the best at playing the bad guy, and Edge is one of those cases. He started capitalizing on the real-life heat and quickly became the most hated wrestler, thanks in no small part to Lita.
I fell in love with a real man.
Hide your wives, it's Edge!
Okay, I want to be like the Guns N' Roses of wrestling. Just that slimy, gutter-dwelling guy that you wouldn't want anywhere near your woman because he'd probably steal her.
And I think that's also maybe what made people so mad, was that he was embracing it and being like, yeah, I did it, so what?
Vince McMahon loved every second of it. Audiences started chanting against them passionately. Fans rallied around Matt Hardy, demanding his return. When Matt finally got his hands on Edge, they brawled with a rare intensity. Even the commentators were confused because it looked so violent. Fans speculated how much of this fight is scripted and how much of it is real.
I'm the kind of person, I'm vindictive. I'll tell you that right now. If you screw over Matt Hardy, believe me, I will make your life miserable.
Verbally, mentally, physically, you're inferior.
Matt Hardy and Edge were set to go one-on-one, even though there were real problems between them. Matt didn't trust Edge anymore. Mutual trust is the foundation that a wrestling match is based on. But in the match, they realized they were still the same people, with the same chemistry that had immortalized them years earlier in their iconic ladder matches.
And I think a little bit it was kind of cathartic and therapeutic for all of us in a way. Let's get that out of our system and you know, kind of move forward.
Matt was eventually able to forgive Adam and Amy, but The Rock has rolled on. Many wrestling fans still hate Edge and Lita, not necessarily for what they did, but how they portrayed it on television.
Falling in love with you makes me a slut.
Get a room!
Lita was the missing ingredient to Edge's success.
You say, oh, we need one of them big old rooms with a big old bed in it.
Because our characters were so over-the-top gross and gratuitous, we like to gross each other out, see how far we could push our obnoxious characters.
It was disgusting to watch it because it was like then they were just making out, sucking face.
Now called the Rated R Superstar, Edge became the most important wrestler on WWE television. He got the loudest reactions every night and appeared in more than a few iconic segments. The crowd hated him, and yet they watched his every move, because he could cash in his Money in the Bank contract anytime and become world champion.
No chance, that's what you got.
Seconds before Edge's big moment, Vince McMahon said a few words to him behind the curtain.
He said, prove me right. Prove me right, prove everybody else wrong.
It was just like Edge to cash in on a bloodied, beaten John Cena. The first ever Money in the Bank cash-in was a huge success in establishing the Ultimate Opportunist as a main event caliber heel, and the legacy of that moment carries on to this day. The night after Edge's first WWE Championship win, he was told there was going to be a live sex celebration on Raw.
Live sex celebration? What is that?
The salacious segment got great TV ratings. Over 5 million people watched the most uncomfortable 13 minutes of Adam and Amy's careers.
Dude, were you getting excited out there? What? I was like, no, dude. I was like deathly afraid. There's no excitement going on at all.
Lita was actually naked under the covers. She later revealed that WWE had threatened to fire her if she refused to go through with the segment. With Edge as world champion, the ratings went up. People were interested. Adam hoped that he could make his entrance on the grandest stage of them all, wearing the belt he had worked his whole life to win. But bigger WrestleMania plans saw John Cena heading in as champion to take on Triple H, so Edge's reign was cut short. He only held the title for 3 weeks.
That pissed me off. Like, the ratings were there. I mean, people wanted to see something different.
It was another lesson in patience, one that Adam failed to learn. He thought he had convinced everyone that he was ready and proved this little experiment to be a success. Why would they give him the world title just to take it away again? Edge found out his opponent at WrestleMania was going to be Mick Foley, the man who had proved himself through enduring the unbearable and surviving the unthinkable. Adam's anger turned into determination, and the two put together one hell of a match. Edge also took his fair share of punishment. He said he doesn't think about the pain until the second before. This was also true for the most dangerous spot in the match, the spear through the flaming table.
Oh my God, what's gonna happen?
It wasn't until like I was making that leap, I was like, oh man, I just gotta bury my head into Mick here and hope for the best. You know, and still burn my arm, burn my knuckles.
WrestleMania 22 was the last proving ground for Edge, the last obstacle he smashed through at full speed. His perfect chemistry with John Cena was not lost on the WWE officials, so their feud continued. The more the crowd hated Edge, the more they cheered Cena when he beat him up.
Stop. I mean, did you see young Randall talking about Hulk Hogan? Wow!
In July 2006, he was able to win back the WWE Championship from Cena.
Get the Rated R Spinner Championship.
That's a great idea.
One time, Edge and Lita visited John Cena's dad, a segment ending in a slap that was heard around the world.
Oh my God! Oh, that had to hurt!
As revenge, Cena threw Edge into the Long Island Sound, a body of water so polluted that Edge was sick for 3 days. For Unforgiven 2006, Edge returned to his hometown of Toronto. This time, it was a warm reception. Cena may have defeated him that night, but Edge always found an opportunity to stay relevant. Behind the scenes, they called each other Old Shoe because they knew each other inside and out. Cena says Edge elevated him to heights he never thought he could reach.
Edge not only has it, he's brilliant. He's the Einstein of our business. He can put pieces of the puzzle together that you wouldn't even think existed.
I knew he had more than what he was showing. I knew he could be more than just the big blue leg drop guy. I knew he could be more than just that.
John Cena considers this some of the best work of his career, which is why he paid homage to his best enemy in his retirement tour. Needless to say, Adam and Amy's relationship didn't last, not because they found out they weren't meant to be, but because the public outrage made their lives miserable. The lasting negativity was especially hard for Lita. Her mental health suffered, and she lost interest in professional wrestling. After his second divorce, Adam Copeland stayed out of the dating game for a while. He was married to his career.
During that time, it was media days. It was busy. You never had a day off.
His reputation among his colleagues had recovered. Only The Miz couldn't stand him. When The Miz became a part of the main roster in 2006, he was reportedly hazed by a large part of the locker room, including Edge, because of his background as a D-list celebrity. The second Money in the Bank ladder match was won by Mr. Kennedy, but Kennedy got injured, which created an opportunity. Edge defeated him and took the briefcase, which he then cashed in on a bloodied World Heavyweight Champion.
I cashed it in on quite possibly the greatest champion of all time, The Undertaker.
By now, Mark Calloway, The Undertaker, was an all-out supporter of Edge, which meant better chances with the higher-ups and, as a result, better booking.
I'm not afraid of you.
Well, you should be.
That title belongs to me.
Batista's finishing move, the power bomb or Batista bomb, is one of the most painful moves in all of wrestling.
He's a big dude. There's torque on hand. And that's when I started feeling my neck issues again. That power bomb.
For 3 years, Adam had been wrestling full-time with screws and metal plates holding his neck together. In 2007, an investigation by Sports Illustrated revealed that Edge had been taking human growth hormone and steroids within that period. Adam says it was to stabilize his neck. He was suspended for 30 days, although he missed the shows anyway, recovering from a torn pec. In December 2007, Edge became champion again. This time, WWE built their WrestleMania plans around him. His feud with The Undertaker, which had been running for many months now, was set to culminate here. Not only was Edge going to have a WrestleMania match against The Undertaker, there was talk of Edge winning the match and breaking the streak. When backstage officials ran the idea by Adam Copeland, here's what he said.
And I was like, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Like, why would we do that? That makes zero sense to me. I'm already a made man. I'm in the main event of WrestleMania. What's it going to do for me?
Gaining The Undertaker's trust was the biggest compliment Adam could get. It was the last item on his WWE bucket list. The Undertaker called him the perfect combination of old school and new school. They traded ring gear after the match to remember the magic they created that night. In July 2008, Edge married Vickie Guerrero, the general manager of SmackDown, whom he'd romanced for her power and influence, at least on screen.
He made me feel very comfortable. Edge always had the kindest words.
In his real life, Adam was not in a committed relationship, which probably had to do with the fallout from the Lita situation and the 2 failed marriages in his past. Adam then took 4 months off to recover from the grueling schedule that almost pushed his body to the breaking point. During this time, he rented a cabin in the Rocky Mountains and hiked a different glacier every day.
I had to go. I had to get away. I had to get solitary. Rented a cabin, and I grew a big beard, and it felt great.
When he came back, he had something interesting to say in a promo.
I was actually contemplating retiring.
In the mountains, he found peace and refuge away from the business that defined his life. He decided that when he retires, he wants to live close to nature. And he knew that might be sooner rather than later. Edge was very injury prone. He had to take breaks frequently. Everyone knows that when a wrestler gets injured, there are a dozen other wrestlers waiting to jump and take their place. But whatever went on while he wasn't there, Edge was always able to fit back in the main event picture like he never left.
Edge is the world champion. I stand before you, your world heavyweight champion.
In 2009, he tore his Achilles heel and spent another 6 months anxiously waiting to get back in the ring, wondering what he would do with himself after retiring. He made a shocking return in the 2010 Royal Rumble and eliminated John Cena to win the match, placing him back in the world title picture. But Adam's neck issues were back. Of course he kept wrestling, because that's what wrestlers do. Every night after his match, he stepped under the shower and felt it get worse. His arms were trembling, his nervous system damaged. But he didn't go to the doctor because he was afraid of yet another layoff. He didn't want to miss WrestleMania 27. In the build-up of his match against Alberto Del Rio, Edge took a chair shot to the back and collapsed. He lost feeling and function in both his arms. Christian, who was watching backstage, ran down the stage to see if his friend was okay. Nobody knew what was wrong, because Edge didn't tell anybody his neck was getting worse. After a thorough checkup, the WWE doctors, amazingly, cleared him to compete at WrestleMania. 16 days after suffering paralysis in his upper extremities, he defeated 𝗖𝗛𝗣𝗬𝗥𝗚𝗚𝗛𝗡 and defended his World Heavyweight Championship, unfortunately for the last time. Adam had just bought a house up in the Blue Ridge Mountains of North Carolina. Shortly after WrestleMania, he drove up there with his 4 dogs to check out the property. He sat down on the patio enjoying the spring sunshine when he got a call from his boss, Vince McMahon.
Yeah, I got a call from Vince, and he told me, you know, we're told you got to retire.
Adam had a hard time coming to terms with the fact that his career was over. Wrestling meant everything to him.
It's the best gig in the world. It's the only thing I ever wanted to do, right? So I had to cry.
8 years ago, I broke my neck. I knew that I was wrestling on borrowed time from that point on.
In an emotional promo, Edge said goodbye to the sport he had dedicated his life to, the sport that gave him everything he had.
There's going to be some uneasiness in his soul that is never going to go away. That's what we live with if we don't have closure on our careers.
It was even harder for Adam to accept this new reality because of how he got here.
There was no other option to me. There wasn't a if I didn't wrestle, if I didn't get the contract.
Normally, setbacks are challenges that Adam Copeland overcomes, but this last obstacle seemed insurmountable. He stopped watching wrestling, even though he still loved it more than anything, or perhaps because of it.
Like, that can't be my last match. I didn't know. I would have treated it differently. I would have come into it differently. I would have approached it differently.
His best friend Christian helped him in the process of accepting his retirement.
He lived his dream to the fullest and took advantage of every moment.
He reminded Adam why he got into wrestling in the first place, so his mom could have a better life. He achieved that. He told him that his last match was at WrestleMania, and he got to go out as the undefeated world champion.
The last match was WrestleMania, and I retired as champ, and honestly, you couldn't write a better way to do it.
He's battled through some of the most horrific injuries, and he's fought back, and he's came back better than ever. He's got nothing left to prove.
On September 13th, 2011, WWE hosted Edge Appreciation Night. College friends, his high school coach, even his mom joined him in the ring on live television.
To see my mom walk down the ramp was hilarious for me. Just see them all be able to live that aspect for that one night. That for me was probably the coolest thing.
Bret Hart also came. Much like Edge, Bret's career ended prematurely. It helped to see he wasn't the only one. Steve Austin had also called him and offered his advice. After Edge Appreciation Night went off the air, Adam hung around backstage. He didn't know it at the time, but his life was about to change. He had a long conversation with wrestler Beth Phoenix late into the night. Without this conversation, he would have never known the woman who gave his life a new purpose. 1 year after his retirement, Edge was inducted into the Hall of Fame. Before his speech, Shawn Michaels gave him a pep talk. His mom was in the audience, and one of his favorite bands, the Foo Fighters, played the soundtrack to his Hall of Fame video. In November 2012, Adam got a second neck surgery, then he made his acting debut on the TV show Haven. Finally, a new challenge. In October 2013, Adam and Beth got married. 2 months later, their daughter Lyric was born. Being a dad made Adam realize that anyone is capable of murder.
You also realize, like, instantaneously, oh, I can murder someone.
He loves his daughter so much, he would do anything to keep her safe. One time, he found a venomous copperhead snake in his backyard. He killed it and cut its head off.
Always listen to Hypnotoad. He says you need a donut, then you go get a damn donut.
Since his retirement, we've had a chance to see who the man behind Edge really is.
I'm gonna sit and watch the wifey on NXT tonight and pile drive donuts into my face.
Despite his sugary predilections, Adam actually lost weight since his retirement.
It's just a lifestyle thing, you know. I'm living in the mountains. I stopped eating red meat. I stopped eating breads. I dropped 25 pounds. I ride a mountain bike or go hiking. I mean,
I got no choice but to feel healthy.
Edge said he actually forgot what it felt like to wake up without sore muscles and bruises all over his body.
Like, I forgot what it felt like to feel like a human being. Now I wake up, I actually have energy, and I want to do things.
In 2016, Beth and Adam welcomed their second daughter, Ruby, into the world. Edge and Christian made a comeback to the WWE Network with the Edge and Christian Show.
So you're saying you want to build ladders out of actual matches?
Yeah, and market them as Edge and Christian's ladder matches.
I think birth control is a very important issue in a woman's life.
We become closer than friends, you know, I mean, we're like brothers, really. I mean, we've known each other since 6th grade.
In the category of an actor reeking of the most awesomeness, the Oscar goes to Edge.
In 2017, Adam Copeland appeared on the popular Irish-Canadian show Vikings. A DNA test revealed that Adam has up to 50% Scandinavian ancestry.
If you step foot on my land, you will have made your own death.
What made him such a great actor was that he wanted to contribute something to the story, acting within the limits of his character. During this time, he spent a lot of time away from his family, on set, or doing media calls. All the while, he can't wait to get back to the mountains.
You are a mountain man now.
He likes to chop wood, and he wears socks with Sasquatch on them.
Look at this. I mean, you drive 10 minutes from the house and you're up in the mountains.
He also did a lot of hiking and kayaking.
I love it. From spring until, the end of November, I try and get up here 2 or 3 times a week.
His body felt a lot better. For movies and TV productions, he started doing his own stunts instead of relying on a stuntman. And he wondered, maybe he could return to wrestling after all.
I remember once or twice it was ever said, I wonder if I could have one more match. And I would shut that down real quick.
Then he went mountain biking with Sheamus for his YouTube channel, Celtic Warrior Workouts. On a downhill trail, he had a serious accident. Beth's brother, who had the GoPro mounted on his handlebar, was prepared to take Adam to the hospital because of how fast he was going before the crash. But Adam was okay.
Going downhill, wiping out off a jump, unclipping in midair and essentially taking an arm drag on rocks, and rolling up to my feet and going, I'm fine.
This was the moment that changed everything. He sought multiple doctors' opinions and got the all clear. Edge negotiated with both WWE and AEW, a smaller company that had just been established. He held a lucrative offer from AEW to work behind the scenes as an agent and have a few matches. WWE matched their offer, and they had another thing going for them. Many of Adam's friends were still working for the company, so it was decided. His friends Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler, FTR, helped him get in shape before his return. And together with Christian, he invented a training device that allows the user to do planks while alleviating stress on the joints, a problem he faced during training. 2 nights before the 2020 Royal Rumble, Adam watched Rocky Balboa with tears in his eyes, because everything Rocky said were all things going through his mind ahead of his big return.
If this is something that you gotta do, then you do it.
I am back in the main event of WrestleMania.
If you wrote this as a script for Hollywood, they'd say it's impossible. It can never happen. It's not realistic. Yet here we are.
His first 2 singles matches were against Randy Orton, one of which was advertised as the greatest wrestling match ever, similar to WrestleMania 27, the biggest WrestleMania ever, which marked Adam's last match before retirement. After his 2020 return, he worked as a part-timer. He took many breaks and celebrated many returns. Wrestling was no longer his highest priority because he didn't want to miss the childhood of his kids. Adam always liked to draw his own ring gear.
I get a pencil and some Sharpies and I start doodling.
WWE allowed the veteran to turn his inner child's visions into reality. Adam also relived the early stages of his career with Brood-themed entrances. But backstage officials didn't like some of Adam's ideas.
I'd always get well, nobody remembers. Like, people remember. Wrestling fans remember. And I think wrestling fans want to be rewarded for remembering. That's what I've always felt.
With his incredible journey in and out of retirement, along with the fact that he's naturally likable, Edge was a fan favorite. But he wanted to see if he could still make people hate him. So he turned heel.
Judgment Day is coming!
He founded the Judgment Day stable because many of the great moments of his career happened at the Judgment Day pay-per-view.
This Sunday at Judgment Day, I will beat The Undertaker.
The stable gave younger talents like Damian Priest, Rhea Ripley, and Dominic Mysterio a chance to impress. Edge passed on the gift of opportunity that he had received when he was a rookie. Rhea Ripley's rise in particular had a lot to do with Edge's mentoring. But there was one last thing left on his wrestling bucket list: to step back in the ring with his best friend, Christian Cage. Christian wasn't as good at politicking as Adam and felt that the writing team never utilized his full potential. Edge and Christian never got the singles rivalry they always wanted. But now there was a place where they could do it. That's why Adam joined AEW.
One of the major reasons on top of the roster was, he's there.
Shortly before his debut at the WrestleDream pay-per-view, Adam flew to Seattle and met Darby Allin. They rented a muscle car. Adam said he stopped and kept the motor running while Darby tagged places with graffiti. They shot a teaser video for Adam's debut, exactly the way Adam wanted it done.
And I had was in my head come to life instead of it just being done. That's super exciting, as a creative person.
But that's the cool thing about AEW. They let you do your thing, and they give you the support to do it.
When Triple H saw Edge making his AEW debut, he sent him a message that read, "I'm very happy for you."
I feel like a little kid. I feel like I used to feel when I first wrestled. I don't feel like a 31-year veteran right now.
Adam is a firm believer that in the school of life, one half of the time you're there to learn, and the other half you're there to teach. He has climbed the first mountain and cemented his name in the annals of professional wrestling. Now he wants to help others do the same. However, he has been criticized for overshadowing rising stars instead of elevating them. He has also been accused of using his rapport with the promoter Tony Khan for his own benefit. Adam said he has an open line for any young talent to ask for advice, but that he can't help someone who doesn't want help. Darby Allin, for example, who has been described as a human cannonball. Many veterans tried to tell him if he keeps wrestling this style of match, there won't be anything left of his spine in 15 years. Adam knows how wrestlers tend to be. He knows firsthand what a person is willing to do to make it in the sport, how a person might be willing to die for the sport they love. Despite better judgment, he can't stop Darby, and perhaps Adam hasn't learned all his lessons either. He said he had learned to wrestle smarter after his double fusion neck surgery in 2003.
At that time, the things I was doing there, I was trying to get noticed. I was trying to say, hey, I'm over here. And I felt like that was the way to do it. I don't know if I'll dive off a 20-foot ladder. I really don't. I think I've learned how to work a little bit more smart to get more out of a crowd without, killing myself and breaking my neck.
That being said, he still jumped off a barbed wire steel cage and broke his leg at Double or Nothing 2024, which earned him another 5 screws and a plate in his leg. He got some backlash from wrestling veterans who said it was an unnecessary risk and that he should have known better. Adam later acknowledged that it was stupid and that he shouldn't have done it. But he always wants to give the fans their money's worth. He no longer has that chip that he needs to prove himself. He had an amazing career, and whatever he does now, he does because he wants to do it.
This is really just gravy on top. That's a bonus.
if I can tell a great story for a few years and help some talent along the way, and hopefully go out on my own terms, that to me was important.
In AEW, we don't see Edge. We get to see a lot more of Adam Copeland, just a wrestling legend having fun with his best friend.
I think we've helped keep each other sane over the years in a lot of insane instances and climates.
Let's do it. Let's end our careers together as a team. Let's show them all what we can do.
Go yourself.
Adam Copeland got the chance to finish what he started, to go out the way he wants to go out, whether that's in AEW or WWE.
It was so much fun, man. I just mentioned to somebody, I felt free out there.
I know there's not many of these left for me, so I have to truly soak it all in.
When Edge was wrestling despite numbness and atrophy in his arms, he feared the thought of retiring. This time, there's a smile on his face. He can't wait to get back to the life he's built in the mountains.
When I retire this time, I'm gonna come home and be dad, walk my dogs.
As we approach the last year of his legendary career, and as Cena and Edge pay tribute to one another, there is a lot of talk about legacy.
And this is the most important thing. I never, ever remember Edge having a bad match.
But to him, wrestling is no longer the most important thing.
My legacy, to me, and this is how I look at it, am I raising good human beings?
Adam doesn't wear his Hall of Fame ring, he wears his wedding ring, because his final wish is about to come true.
I had always hoped one day it'll be my choice to walk away.